So in front of me here, I have a knife from a company that I have no experience with prior, and this is the Rosecraft Castorea. That right there, Castorea is how I would pronounce that. But it was an interesting knife that caught my attention. One, because of the design, kind of makes it look like a Barlow because it's got this black G10 and then it's got a different color. You can get it in I think, a gray, a red, or an orange. I believe this one's the red one. Yeah, this is the red and black one. There's a gray and black and an orange and black. It's kind of hard to tell in here. It looks probably a little more orange than it does red because of my light here, but yeah, I haven't fixed my slight lighting issue yet. At some point, I'm going to try to get another desk lamp and try to do it on the opposite side and hope that that helps solve my little lighting issue. It's not major or anything, but it would be nice to have a better lighting setup. But anyway, gonna quit talking about that. This is the Castoria. It's this really large. Where's my? It's over here. I'm gonna bump the crap out of the camera. Sorry. This is really large folder here, and this is a modern folder, obviously. If you haven't caught on, it's got a blade that's over 3 inches, well over 3 inches. It's almost 4 inches long. The blade. And the handle, the close length is like 4.5 inches. So similar in size to, like, I don't know, a Daddy Barlow, kind of a little smaller than a normal Daddy Barlow, which is like 5 inches. And the other interesting thing about this knife is it is a button lock, meaning you press down on this button and you can unlock it. Although it's not as smooth as a lot of button locks I've seen, but this is a button lock and it does have a flipper, which is nice. And the flipper works well. The button lock's just not as free as I would like it to be. So I feel like a lot of the button locks you can just press down on the button and really swing it closed, whereas this one works better if you press. I just almost cut myself real bad right there. Did you guys see that? Um, this one works better if you press down on the lock and come over and close it like a slip joint. It doesn't really work real well to try to close it like that. Although I guess you could probably. I just can't do it. Um, Maybe it'll smooth out over time. I think this is on washers, not bearings, which I honestly prefer in most instances because I feel like washers are more of like a hard use type of thing on, a modern folder. But anyway, this is made by that Rosecraft company, like I said. They also have this Appalachian Jack that I've been meaning to check out, but I never decided to go ahead and buy one. I may buy one of them at some point, especially now that traditional pocket knife seems to be carrying Rosecraft blades. So I may check one of those out at some point. But this was the first knife that they released that I'm like, oh, I gotta check that out. Especially since it was a button lock and I didn't have a button lock yet. But it's got this big fat spear blade that reminds me of like the spear blade on a lot of like swell end jacks, like the 85 from Great Eastern Cutlery. It really, like, swells out kind of, and it's this huge big fat spear blade. It's got a swedge on it here. It's very reminiscent of like the 85 pattern from Great Eastern Cutlery. um, but yeah, just a cool looking knife, I will say. It does, of course, have a pocket clip on it because this is, more of a modern folder. It's got a little like rosebud shield on it there, which is cool. Of course, I don't believe it's pinned. I think it's probably just glued into the G10, if I had to guess. Yeah, it says glued into the G10. That would be my guess. But this knife was like $45, something like that. Pretty affordable for, button lock knife. These are a little more expensive. I believe it's D2 blade steel. I probably should have looked and checked that out before I um, did the video, but I didn't think about it. But I believe it's D2. I'm not sure it says anywhere what kind of blade steel it is. It does not. But I think they were using D2 on their other knives, so I'm assuming this is also D2, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I should have probably checked that out, but oh well. Anyway, cool design, neat little knife. I don't know how often I'll end up carrying it. I don't really carry my modern folders very often these days. But this is a really interesting design. I like the button lock, although I wish it was a little bit less clunky, I guess. A little more like free. That time I almost had it. Let me see if I can. No, not quite. I'm going to try one more time. No, the flipper hit my finger that time. A button lock and a flipper might not be the best combination. Oh, I got it to close that time. So if you really flick your wrist, you can get it to close. But it could certainly be a lot smoother. But cool knife. I certainly respect the idea of, coming out with something different like Rosecraft blades did here. Of course, this is made in China, but again, it's $45. So it's not like you're spending a whole lot of money on the Chinese made knife. And I don't really have a problem with Chinese made knives, but some people do. So if you do, this is made in China, so you know that. Um, but yeah, they seem to be a pretty cool company over there. At some point, I'll probably check out that Appalachian Jack knife that they have. But this is my first pickup from them, and I think it's a pretty neat knife. It's definitely an interesting design, I will say. I had to have it because it looked like a Barlow. That's really the end of the day of it all. But anyway, this is the Rosecraft. I'm gonna have to read this again. Castorea knife. My first button lock and my first knife from Rosecraft Blades. So pretty cool little knife. If you're into flippers and button locks and all that, maybe check it out. I'm pretty sure most of you on here are traditional pocket knife people like me, but occasionally I like to check out a modern folder as well. Um, but yeah, just a neat design. But that's going to be it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a good day.